with the anticipation of Broom playing, and it looks like I would say he's probably 60% to go, maybe 70%. He'll give it a go.
For the guests who want to be pampered.
The thing about it, Jeff, is you're right. Tennessee will try to defend. Here's the thing, though, too. Auburn, and by virtue of them being undefeated without him, really shows their depth. I mean, they go 8-9 deep, and so their depth has been on full display this year. And so, but this is going to be a terrific game. It's 5:30 Pacific. I'm glad it's going to be the feature college game of the day in terms of betting interest. So, on a terrific card, as you can see, we got almost 150 games
again, it's this in in Kansas and Houston, which we mentioned earlier, which they've been all over the Jayhawks.
They did take the Jags at home. I mean, here's the key, right? It's Houston's defense, right? They're up there as well after a little bit of call it slip, or
if you prefer video poker,
they lost a few games early, but they've corrected things. Houston is good, not as deep, I don't think, as Auburn, let's say. But their defense is outstanding.
For me, it's again, the NCAA tournament is 2 months from now. We'll be right in the thick of everything for the tournament. But boy, it feels like the possibilities of teams to win the title, especially after last year, where it felt like it was a UConn coronation all year for the most part.
And so much fun to play.
It's a whole different ballgame this year. As good as Auburn is, as good as Duke is, as good as Tennessee is, it feels like there's a collection of maybe about 8 to 12 teams that have a realistic shot of winning the title this year.
You look at a team like Iowa State, even though they tripped up at Morgantown. Which is kind of strange, right? You saw the Mountaineers win that game, and then they lose at home at Arizona State. How did that happen? But you're right, Jeff.
Welcome in, everybody. Sports by the Book here at the South Point Hotel and Casino. After a great day of football yesterday, conference championships, we do have our Super Bowl matchup here at the South Point. We've got the Chiefs -2 over the Eagles and the total 49.5. I'm excited to spend the next 2 weeks breaking down that game with all of you. I'm Alex White alongside Kenny White, professional sports bettor, and my father, who has really helped throughout this year. I looked forward to doing a show with you. I thought it would help me become a better sports bettor and hope that it would help others as well with the questions that I ask you on a daily basis. And they get to see that all the time.
Has health.
Yesterday, there was a lot of disappointed people, and I saw that firsthand, and I've been in those shoes, and it's a lot of emotional betting, right? Betting against the Chiefs, hoping to have different teams in the Super Bowl rather than betting off of your numbers and where these teams are power rated.
Right now,
good morning.
The Eagles holding steady at 6 here at South Point.
Betting is
47 on the total, and
you're either doing it professionally,
with Chris
you're
Andrews
doing it to make,
or
you're doing it to make money.
Like a stock, or you're just betting it for 2-point favorites. So good business,
and you have to manage your money however you do that.
We'll have
those games yesterday were more entertainment than anything because
Super Bowl.
This is when the line's most difficult.
Crazy injury.
If you want to take a shot,
I mean, look, if there's an
injury,
go
week one and take a shot with somebody who you think a team that's ready to play, because the line is the most vulnerable then. In these games, they're taking a lot of money. The book's taking $10,000 bets and maybe not even moving the line. So there's a lot of different types of betting. I was thinking about it because I talk about
9 a.m. Myself, Alex White,
being a roller coaster
ready for the AFC and NFC championship games. Vinny will make an appearance as well.
I'm talking in a day. It's a roller coaster ride
right here.
I had a roller coaster ride yesterday.
Studio on Sports by the Book. Sean,
I've done every sport. My entire life. Yesterday, I think I won my first 7
right here. Sports by the Book.
Women's college basketball games, and I was thinking, oh my God, this is going to be an amazing day to go on to lose the next 7 or 8 in a row after that. It's just, that's the way it is. But when you manage your money right, you're like, well, broke even today. Hopefully tomorrow it's going to be a 3-2 day.
So what advice would you give to people who are doing it more for entertainment? But I mean, I know there was a lot of people. It was a close game. We'll talk about the Chiefs and the Bills first, and that game did not disappoint. And we've seen these two meet in the postseason before. You've got Patrick Mahomes on one side and Josh Allen on the other side. And a lot of people really thought this was the year that the Bills could get past the Chiefs. Yeah. And they put their money there, especially for an entertainment purpose.
Well, entertainment. Again, what you're comfortable with. I feel whatever you lose, that it's not gonna, that you're not gonna be worried about it tomorrow. So if you're comfortable with $20, don't go bet $500 on the game, thinking you've got a really good shot. I mean, I got text messages the last couple of weeks from people that I haven't heard from before. Hey, who do you think's gonna win the game? I want to make a bet on it. Why now? Why now?
Yes.
I know it's but these are people that would normally want to bet $10 and they're going to, hey, can you bet 100 for me on it? I'm like, you're just, it's not a smart move. Why don't we just play odd or even behind my back? I got my fingers behind my back. Is it 1 or 2? And then you tell me what it is and I'll show you, so it's for entertainment purposes. Just bet it small so that it doesn't bother you and just enjoy the game.
Well, last year I had a future ticket on the Niners beating the Ravens in the Super Bowl. I think I had, it was definitely double digits. I want to say 30-1 or something. I made that bet right after Halloween, and I was crushed because we all know the Ravens were right there, could have beaten the Chiefs to make it to the Super Bowl, and then I would have had a shot to hedge. For Christmas this year, you got me a Ravens 8-1 to win the Super Bowl, and holding that ticket, I knew I had to make a hedge somewhere. I'm like, the Ravens aren't the only team that can make it to the Super Bowl. Looking at the exacted numbers, I did grab one with the Lions, and then I thought, who's the next best NFC team? It's the Eagles. And then I thought, the Chiefs, we talked about them all year. They won one-score games, but they know how to win. It's Patrick Mahomes. He will be at home hosting these big games. Yeah. So I decided to tie up a little bit on that one.
So you have one ticket left.
I have one ticket left.
You have the Super Bowl entrance.
I do. So I have Eagles beating the Chiefs at 18-1.
Wow.
So
okay.
I'm very pleased with that, and that I didn't just let my emotions get the best of me and betting on what I want to see, right? Looking at the power ratings and knowing that there were other teams that could make it there. But a lot going on now with the NFL, and we talked about it a little bit off air, but a lot of conspiracies and people thinking that the refs and the NFL want the Chiefs there to have a shot at this three-peat. But I mean, they're a dynasty. They've got the best head coach right now in the NFL, and Andy Reid, right? And we saw that yesterday. And, that call could have gone either way for Josh Allen. But you watched, and you thought it was the right call, and you can't really see the ball. It's such a tough play.
It was, you can't see the football. And the angle I had on looking at it on YouTube, they broke it down. It was super slow-mo. Then they stopped it. And you could see at that point, the ball was not across the line. And then you saw a little bit more movement, but you lost track of the football. But it didn't look like Josh Allen went any further forward. So there was no evidence that it was. And it's a tough call. Just so many people, they think the NFL is rigged, fixed, whatever. It's just amazing that so many people think that. And it's not. They think it's that way because every time they bet, they lose. So when they make their bets and they go to the book and they bet, and it's funny though, there'll be some people that make a 5-team parlay and they win the first 4, and the last one that they lose is a game like that, and they think, oh, it's fixed. Well, you went 4 out of 5 against the line. How can it be fixed?
Yeah.
My good friend of ours that texts, and he thinks the game was fixed. He's a fantasy football guy, and that's his fantasy football world all thinks the game was fixed. I go by numbers only, and I saw the majority of the books closed 1 on the game. If the fix was in, you're not going to tell me that somebody's not going to get that information and bet their life on it, because that's what people do. They get greedy and they bet, and then the line moves. And if there was a fix on that game, Kansas City's closing 3.
Yeah.
There's no doubt. They're closing 3.
They're going to keep betting the Chiefs until it's 2.5.
Yeah.
And here's the other thing. You've had a lot of bad beats, and you just talked about your roller coaster with women's college basketball. So a lot of people just see it firsthand NFL is king.
Yeah.
So it's right there in front of their eyes. But you have bad beats in every sport. So you're we'd have to say every sport is fixed and, doesn't always go your way. But
I had one the other night, that college women's game, and I bet over in game. The total was like 48 to start the game, and I went over 40.5. Thought I had a great number, and the game had no shot to go over. And then I saw it went in overtime, and I thought, oh, maybe I got lucky. It landed 140. I lost by a half. That's like, hey, you get the overtime, what you needed, and then it still doesn't go over. I think they scored 16 in overtime, and the average in women's is like 18.5, 19 points. So, but anyway, yeah, you're right. There are a lot of bad beats in every sport. You hear it every day. You could go out here and write a book, and they could all tell you about the bad beats they've seen. Why? And why in the NFL? Because the NFL is the tightest betting line of any line there is. It's the most efficient market. It is the most knowledgeable market. There's only 32 teams. Everybody knows the players. You can go to any sportsbook director without any power ratings and say, make me a line. And they're not going to be that far off. But if you ask them to make a line tomorrow on Louisiana and Arkansas State football game, they wouldn't have any clue. They couldn't do it because it's not mainstream like the NFL is.
Well, let's look on the bright side here. I think we have a fantastic matchup. We just saw these two play in the Super Bowl 2 years ago. Started Kansas City's run here, trying to get 3 in a row. But now the Eagles add the best running back in the league right now. And it's 1 and 2 with him and Derrick Henry, but what Saquon Barkley has done now being on Philadelphia is tremendous. And we saw it again in yesterday's game, 55 points for the Eagles over the Washington Commanders. That score is 55-23. And then on the other side, we have a generational talent here with Patrick Mahomes and this dynasty that we are seeing. So great matchup, 2 really good teams. Both of these teams have been in our top 5 for a majority of the season.
I want to go back to Washington first against Philly. So I had talked about this past week that I was betting Washington because what I just saw last. And I said, I'm really worried about that because that's what people do. And I'm sitting here talking about Tom Brady and how he's talking about that offense, that it can't be stopped. And I'm buying into it because I'm watching it. I'm hearing what he's saying, and it's true what he's saying. If this, and that happens, they'll do this, and it works. And he was right. When the game kicked off, and I'm watching, and the first drive, I don't know how many play drive it was, but would they make 3 4th-down conversions?
Yep.
And they go and they have to settle for a field goal. That's always tough when you make that type of drive and you don't get what you wanted. At least you got points. But when I watched that drive and I'm thinking like Tom Brady, I watched the Eagles defense. They didn't move. Not one play. They stayed in their lane. They had their assignment, and they did not give Jaden Daniels anything to read off of. And I said, oh my gosh, if they're going to do that all day, he's sunk because he can only move the football and be unstoppable if you're moving around and blitzing, and Philadelphia wasn't going to do that. So he overthrew 2 passes poorly, really threw 2 bad passes on that first drive, and I said, this is not good. And then the Eagles come out and they run a great play to get Barkley in open field on the edge. I mean, it was an amazing play. You're thinking he's going to run in between tackles on the first play. They do a fake one way and flip to him the other way. And he's got to break 1 tackle basically to, get a 20-yard gain. And if he breaks another one, he's gone. And that's what happened.
It was definitely a Cinderella story. And they won 7 in a row, counting the end of the season and then into the playoffs there. But kind of regression to the mean and going for it on 4th downs all the time. They were definitely stopped at the end there. There was also turnovers, which the whole story of the playoffs this year was turnovers. Who took care of the ball better, and they came out on top there.
There was 4 turnovers in the game. Or all 4. The Eagles had 4, or the Commanders had 4 turnovers. My box score final was Philadelphia 39-30.
Wow.
So I still had them winning by 9 and had them covering. So they ended up, I think I upgraded Philadelphia maybe a half a point, and I downgraded Washington maybe, I think, a half, somewhere around there. Was splitting hairs, but raised both their offenses up, even though, Washington didn't get that many points. But if they don't turn it over, they're going to put more points on the board. Wouldn't have been a gigantic game. Philadelphia's defense was impressive. They played well. This is going to be a tough game. These two both have great defenses and both have great quarterbacks. The last time they played, it was fast and furious from the start to the end, and there was a ton of points scored in that game.
And I want to go back and rewatch that game too, because a lot did shift, and there was a major turnover in that Super Bowl from Jalen Hurts that kind of shifted the momentum there, and then the Chiefs ultimately did get that win. But 50 points here for our Super Bowl total. And like you said, it's tough to handicap because you've got two really good defenses, but you also have two really good offenses and quarterbacks leading the way. And you got Saquon Barkley there with Jalen Hurts. So,
well, to me, it wasn't tough to handicap because I just make those adjustments and then make the line. I made Kansas City a half and 50. So I'm right on the number, basically. I don't have a bet on the Super Bowl, so I'll be looking, through the props and try to figure out what props I like.
Right. So not handicap, I should say.
Yeah.
Tough to find your edge, make your bets.
Oh, yeah. Well, I don't have an edge, that's for sure. And like I said, there's not great edges in these games. Even the Kansas City, the one big edge I had yesterday was over in the second game, Buffalo and Kansas City. Two really good quarterbacks. Both can move their team, and when one scores, the other's going to have to go right down and score because you don't want to fall two scores back. And it was, kind of touchy early when the Kansas City fumbled on their own 20 going in. Like when you have over, that's the last thing you want to see. You don't want to see teams fumbling in the red zone, turning the ball over, in that side of the field. But didn't matter. Those two quarterbacks moved up and down the field.
Shout out to you. Yes, because I didn't have a difference in that total, but hearing somebody like you that doesn't really like to bet overs, but you were so confident about that play with the two quarterbacks that we had. So I did tag along on that one, and shout out to Chris Felica too, because I was torn in that Commanders-Eagles game, and he gave out Eagles team total over 26.5, and I loved it, especially because my numbers said the game over, but I worried about Philly's defense because it was such a big step up from the Lions with the injuries, and we've just seen Philadelphia be so stout all year long. So I jumped on both of yours and ended up having a very good day. Josh Allen did not get over 48.5 rushing yards. I probably should have went with attempts. So that's something to consider looking ahead to Super Bowl with these two quarterbacks who can also use their legs in a big moment.
Hurts also had the attempts yesterday, but he didn't get the yardage. So Washington did a good job of bottling him up. I the first couple of plays when I saw Hurts in one play, I thought he moved kind of awkwardly, and I thought, maybe, that was the question mark. How was the knee going to be? But it seemed to be fine. He didn't get any big gains running the football, but it seemed like, hey, we're going to turn you into a pocket passer.
Yeah.
And he said, no problem, let's do it. And he did a great job. He found the open receivers. Again, we go back to defense gets you to the Super Bowl. The two better defenses got to the Super Bowl.
And Jeff Parles said that yesterday, too, with his final bets and picking the two favorites. He did say that ultimately I'm going with the teams with the better defenses that are at home as well. So that did work out for us yesterday.
Yeah, there you go, too. They were at home. Both the better defenses, the home teams, and they both got there.
A lot of upside, though, for both of those teams. I mean, Joe Brady, I believe, is staying there with Ryan shaking his head with the Bills, and he's done a great job with that offense. And James Cook, I mean, he had an outstanding year. I think he might be right behind those two top running backs I'm talking about. And then the Washington Commanders, Jaden Daniels, I mean, even in that big moment, I don't think the lights were too bright for him. I think he was still very composed and can do a lot of great things there. And Dan Quinn is a great head coach that I think people forgot about.
Philadelphia knew what they had to do. They knew that they had to play assignment football and not get cute, and it worked. So, and then they got the turnovers. They created them on defense. The one ball they punched out, and So, yeah, no, we got two really good teams. That's the tough part, with two really good defenses and two really good offenses. I think the last time these two played, I don't think Kansas City's defense was as good. I don't think Philadelphia's was as good. And there was doubts about Jalen Hurts being a young quarterback. But he had the lead going into halftime, and Tom Brady, Patrick Mahomes, the next Tom Brady, he was hobbling into halftime. We didn't know if he was going to play the second half. It looked like his ankle was so bad. And he came out like he was shot up with cortisone in his entire body because he was moving around like he had no injuries.
For one half. I mean, he just gave it his all. Questions on where you moved the Chiefs, because I believe you were right around my number, which I know I had the Chiefs 3.5 over the Bills. I think you were at 3, if I'm not mistaken. So did you, I mean, that game, if you look at the box score, it was very even.
Yes.
Bills and Chiefs. Did you upgrade the Chiefs at all from yesterday's game?
I don't think I did. Let me look. I don't think I did. Let's see here. I'll tell you what that box score final was. I know it's the last thing I copied. That's not showing up. I got it right here. So as I said, the first game I had 39-30 Philadelphia. And the second game, I had Kansas City 32-25. I had Kansas City 32-25 in my box score final. Yards per play, the Chiefs had 5.8, Bills 5.5. I think the Chiefs had the only turnover. They did, 1 interception.
Yep.
So that's 4 points to me. Kansas City, 5 penalties for only 21 yards. Red zone, they were only 4 for 6. Bills were 3 for 3 in the red zone.
Yep.
When those percentages favor the next time they play the Bills not doing as well and Kansas City doing better.
Yeah.
So it's, a lot of why I make those adjustments. I was going to look at 4th down conversions. Well, the Bills lost 2 4th down conversions. We saw that on the one. Kansas City did a better job on 3rd down, 5 for 9, where the Bills were 5 for 14.
Yep.
So that was advantage to Kansas City. So I probably made a small upgrade. I may have moved Kansas City up a half a point.
So I actually do have the Eagles 1.5 here over Kansas City. So have them 1.5 points better. But I'll be looking for ways to bet the Chiefs and have a little bit of a profit.
You need the Eagles to win right now for 18-1. You have the Eagles plus 1,800. That's what you have right now.
Yes.
So
yeah.
you're in good shape. If you want to hedge a little bit, I would hedge 20 to 30%.
I was hoping that the Chiefs would be the dog, I could try and.
You're going to have to lay the money line now because you don't want the Chiefs to win by 1 and lose both bets. So you'll have to bet the money line and hedge 20 to 30%, like I said. I guess I made the game a half. I'm leaning towards the Eagles a little bit. I would have to make a teaser. Maybe my teaser might be Philadelphia, plus 8 right now and over 44.
I like that. Of course, all same game teasers did come in last year.
Yeah.
It didn't matter which side you did, over or under, thanks to overtime and them scoring a lot at the end there. But excited. We'll break that down more. And like you said, really dive into props. I know Chris Andrews and company is working really hard back here at the South Point to get their big packet out. And him and Ashley, I know she helps a lot with that. But very interesting. He is the only 2 right now. A lot of 1.5s out there, but I did ask them and kind of just getting ahead of it a little bit. So if you like the Eagles and 2 and that teaser, this would be your spot right now. But let's get
I see Stations, I think, is at 2.
Are they?
Yeah. Caesars, New Jersey, Buckeye Sports, Bet Rivers is at 2. So there are some 2s. I don't see it going much further than that, though. I really don't. I would be shocked if it went to 2.5. There's a lot of Philadelphia support. And
yeah.
I think it'll be good 2-way action at where the number's at right now.
With your number and what you're saying and leaning towards the Eagles, I know you do like to take into consideration the coaches, though. And you'd definitely give that edge to Andy Reid over Nick Sirianni, who has been here before. But yeah. And you learned the most from a loss, especially a big loss. like the Super Bowl, but.
Well, I didn't look back again, and I don't like to give revenge in these situations. So, but that's, me betting the teaser. I'm like, I'll take the Eagles. They lost the Super Bowl the last time they played. So yeah, I mean, again, when I use revenge, it's because I know when the two teams are looking at that film, or the players know, oh, we beat these guys at their place, we're going to beat them at home easily. They feel like they don't have to give that A+ effort. And the opponent's going, man, I'm pissed. These guys beat us at home.
Right.
We're going into their place. We're getting that win back. And they're going to play their A+ game. At least they're going to give that focus. They may not be good enough to win the game at times. And that's why revenge doesn't work all the time. But I feel like you're getting the motivation. In this game, I think the motivation's equal for both teams. There's no, so I can't say, well, I got to give 2.5 points to the Eagles here for revenge factor because they lost the last Super Bowl. Right. I can't, because Kansas City wants to three-peat and they win anyway. It's hard going against Patrick Mahomes and the Chiefs. We know they're kind of a dynasty now.
Yes, but it is a little bit different because now they are the favorite, and the last, few years.
If you want to call that a favorite.
They just
really got to win the game.
Right. But I mean, last year it was 2.5 with Patrick Mahomes. I'm taking it.
It'd be funny if they win by 1, because I've talked about that for 4 months now with you, that I hate betting favorites, because if teams win by 1, they feel like they'll celebrate like they won the Super Bowl. And now here you go. This is a team that can win by 1, and they will celebrate even though they don't cover that point spread.
I did hear a lot of people that just took the Chiefs money line yesterday, though, for that reason as well. And it was a pretty cheap money line price, because a lot of people were betting on the Bills just money line, thinking why take this 1.5 or 2? I think they can win outright there. So would be very interesting. But let's take a quick 1 minute, and then when we come back, we'll hit today's action, because we do have other sports going on. So back in 1 minute, and on the other side, we'll do college basketball and hockey here on Sports by the Book.
If you're celebrating a special occasion or just love fine dining, you're in the right place. Come experience the crown jewel of South Point restaurants, Michael's Gourmet Room.
Welcome.
With over 600 different types of wines and magnificent dishes prepared tableside, you'll revel in the rich classic Vegas decor and the best black tie service in the world. This intimate gourmet room has earned accolades galore. Come to Michael's Gourmet Room for an unforgettable dining experience. Another famous restaurant is the Silverado Steakhouse, where you'll find the charm and service that discerning patrons require. From top quality steaks and chops to fresh seafood and desserts, you'll love the award-winning wine list and menu at Silverado Steakhouse. Steak lovers have even more options with primarily prime rib. Catering to hearty appetites, the menu features a variety of flavorful prime rib cuts, dry-aged to ensure tenderness, and then seasoned and slowly roasted. Although prime rib is our specialty, it's not the only thing on the menu. There's something for everyone. And if you're craving a taste of Italy, come experience delicious Italian cuisine and the attentive service at Don Vito's. Our culinary team starts with the freshest ingredients and transforms them into traditional favorites. And don't forget Italian desserts. Don Vito's. Savor the taste of Italy. Finally, if sushi is more your style, join us at the popular Zenshin Asian restaurant and sushi bar, where we're serving up the freshest sashimi, nigiri, and sushi rolls. And beyond the sushi, an exciting contemporary Asian cuisine menu, plus a variety of specialty drinks, Japanese and domestic beer, wine, and sake. Balance your hunger with Zenshin.
Welcome back, everybody. I'm Alex White alongside Kenny White here on Sports by the Book, live at the South Point studio. Just a quick reminder, also keep an eye on South Point, because with the spread, you will get that -105 both sides. Has to be in person, so come down and see us here at the South Point. Checking in with the chat as well. I know Vince put up a poll there, and it's looking like 55% of the votes were on the Eagles, and that is getting the points.
Go Eagles.
Eagles +2 or Eagles just to win? Okay, who will win?
Just to win.
Win the Super Bowl early pick.
Vince isn't taking bets back there. Come on.
So just wanted everybody's thoughts on that. Checking in here with the chat. JR said, bet on defenses and sadly on both unders yesterday. That first game was tough. I was not expecting that. 40 Kid, Dean Hilt, Greg Hampton, Nick, Matt, Birdie, Vicarious Vegas, and Vince all in the chat. So thank you. We appreciate you. That's just a quick shout out. If I have to go back and check, and if there's any questions for us, we will have those as well. But I'm really excited. There is a basketball game tonight in college hoops that I'm looking forward to. So we're going to go down the list here and we'll go through all the numbers like we always do. But excited to get to that one with Iowa State and Arizona and see what you have for us in that game. So let's start off here with Little Rock. Kind of moving. They are 11 here at the South Point. It's looking like 10.5 at most places. Total 130.5.
Yeah, well, I'm right there, Alex. I have 11 and 129. So not a big difference for me. Little Rock has covered this year, 11 and 7. Where Marty Simmons' Eastern Illinois team 6 and 11 ATS. You're down 6 units betting on them. I could say this under for Little Rock. They're 13 and 5 under this year. But again, my number right on. I don't really see much there. I do see, both these teams are really poor offensively. They're both better on the defensive end, but their defenses don't impress me defensively, so it kind of scares me. Arkansas Little Rock 5-1 under at home this year.
Okay. That is a good nugget there, too. Michigan, they are 6-2 in the Big Ten right now, hosting Penn State. They're a 9-point favorite, total 160.
This could be a revenge factor game. I'll look real quick. I have 7.5 and 162, so my number's right there. And I'm not sure, but Michigan, did they just play Michigan State, or was that women's basketball I'm thinking of? I'll check that for you real quick, too. So Penn State's gone a little bit of a slump here. This is Mike Rhodes, and they've lost 5 of their last 6. They're now 3-6 in the conference.
Yep.
It is the first time they've played Michigan this year, so you want to then look last year and see. They beat Michigan in the conference tournament and on a semi-home court. Must have been in Philadelphia, and it was in Philadelphia. So they beat Michigan twice last year. I don't like to give that revenge, even though there is revenge for Michigan here. As I say before, I've already given them home court advantage.
Right.
I don't want to go overboard with that. So both these teams run. They both play fast. They're both better offensively than they're on the defensive end. But it's a big total, and mine's right there.
Right there at that 160 for this matchup between those two. Let's go to the next one. Iowa Hawkeyes on the road against Ohio State, 7.5, 155. No wonder why I got it mixed up.
Well, this one I definitely have an overplay. I have it 172. I'm over with Iowa all the time, but they've let me down the last couple of games. They've gotten it some close games, and they haven't shot as well, and it looks like the opponent has slowed them down the last couple of games. So will they be able to go up tempo here against Ohio State? First time they've played this year. I want to look and see. They beat Ohio State at home, and then they lost in the conference tournament. That didn't end their season because they're a good team and they went to the NCAA tournament. But losing in the conference tournament is something they're going to remember because they're on the road. I will make that adjustment. I can adjust 7.5 down to 5. I like Iowa plus the points. Going to bet it over. Both very good offensive teams, and it's Iowa more than anything. They run faster than anybody in the country. Should look. You always want to make sure, that your opponent will run with you a little bit at least, and that's what we want Ohio State to do.
Ran with Oregon.
Ohio State?
Yeah.
Yeah, they did. They ran with Oregon. They really ran with Indiana State because Indiana State couldn't stop them. Valpo couldn't stop them, and they were up-tempo there. They have enough up-tempo games that I'm okay with this going over that total.
What were you close? It's 155. What'd you say you made it?
172.
Okay, so yes, a big difference there.
Yeah, I've such a high number on Iowa. They are 10-8 over on the year. They're 4-0 over in their road games, and Ohio State's 6-5 over at home. Again, it's only going to be a small play. The side plus the points for 1%, and then over for 1%.
All right, Cooper Flagg's team here, 21-point favorite at home, and that is Duke. Total 133.5.
I have them 24 and 139. Not interested in laying the points though. At this point, the game comes down to garbage time.
Yes.
Could be backups in at the end of the game, so I don't want to lay the points there. Definitely not. And the total, it's pretty much right there. I lean to the over, but boy, Duke's defense is so good. They're tough to score on. Maybe I could look at NC State's team total under. I made it 57.
Number 2 right now in the AP ranking. Is that where you have them too?
Yeah, I have number 2. They allow 59 points per game in 69 possessions. So they allow less than a point per possession.
Very, very impressive what we've seen there. Northeastern 134 against Towson.
I'm right there. I have Northeastern 1.5 and 134.
You made too many adjustments last week going back.
Well, I'm much more comfortable now that that's the case, because when you do have a good play, you have more confidence in it.
Yes.
You've got a couple coming up. So,
all right, we got to pick them here between UCLA and USC. Total 139.5.
Oh, I have pick and 133.5, but again, I think I've lost 4 straight bets on UCLA's games, whether it's on them or under. I don't know what's going on with their defense.
Well, we saw the head coach there, Mick Cronin.
Yeah.
He had quite the post-conference.
I didn't see it.
Yeah. He basically just told the media that his team is privileged, doesn't work really hard, think they're better than they are. And then we got a Musselman on the other side. This should be a good matchup between these two. I mean,
when you hear that was after the last game?
No, it was a little bit ago.
Was it?
Yeah.
So
they've played since. How have they done as of late?
Oh, they did. Yeah. That last game probably went under. They won at Washington 65-60. They've won their last 3 games.
That's probably.
I had them under in the Michigan game, and then I had them against Maryland, and then I had them under with Rutgers, and those were all losses. I may have been over with the Iowa game because that's Iowa. That went flying over. I had them under with Wisconsin. So it just was loss after loss. I didn't have a bet in the Washington game. If I did have a difference, I probably just passed. But what I would like to see is they split with USC last year. They won at USC and they lost at home. And the second one was the one at home they lost. So I still will give revenge on that. Now, the one thing I did with my ratings, this is really a neutral game. USC doesn't sell out, and these schools are 8 miles apart, I think, and I gave 5 points for USC's home. There's no way I should give them that many. I think UCLA should be the favorite, and with revenge factor, I'm going to bet UCLA today.
You could probably get a better number. No, it's mostly pick, except for offshore.
Pick's great.
Yeah.
I feel like I have the better team. With a little added, motivation from last year, losing in the conference tournament.
And starting to turn things around.
Actually, it wasn't a conference tournament. It was a home game. It was a Pauley Pavilion. So, yeah, I like UCLA.
All right, what do you think about the Wildcats? They're a 2-point favorite over Iowa State, total 152.
This is a great game. You were looking forward to this one. TJ Otzenberger's got the Cyclones playing great basketball, 17-2, 13-6 ATS. He's making money. They're running. They can score. They've got an outstanding defense. They're the better team between these two. The home advantage, cuts this down. I make Iowa State a half, but I have the total 162.5 because Arizona loves to run. This is Tommy Lloyd. They get up and down. They go fast. Both these teams are playing very fast. They rely on their offenses. I should say they rely on them because their defenses are both very good. But my total says over. I don't see any reason not to bet them under, other than the defenses are very good. That's a good reason not to bet under. But when you got two teams that love to run and they're both top 20 offenses, I'll take it over.
I like it. I will join you there, especially because Arizona is much better offensively than defensively.
Yeah.
Iowa State's good on both, and we saw that last year where they were so good defensively and really struggled to score, but now that they can do both here. Iowa State has been really good on the road, though. Their only road loss was at West Virginia. They went to Texas Tech and forced OT in that one, came away with the win, and then lost to Auburn on a neutral. So
they're 4-1 ATS on their road games.
They have traveled well.
Arizona 9-1 straight up at home, 6-4 ATS.
Okay, lost to Duke at home early on. And then, all right, we've got a few more here, though. Troy, 11.5, total 145.5.
Big difference for me here. I have Troy 12.5, the side right there, but 164.5 on the total. Up tempo, Southern Miss, yes. Offensively, Troy's better off. Well, their defense is good. I don't see anything to the right here that I'm looking at, that there's no really dark blue other than Southern Miss. Looks like they play pressure defense. Both teams are 10-7 to the under this year. In the current location, though, Troy is 6-2 over at home. So I have a higher number on Troy for their home games, and I have a higher number on Southern Miss for their away games. They've played higher on the road, which shows that their defense, doesn't show up in road games.
You said pressure defense.
For Southern Miss, they play pressure defense. When I see a low possession time for opponents,
yes,
I know that they're trying to force plays and turnovers, which create scoring opportunities, and the other team, shoots the ball quickly. Doesn't mean they're making them, but I know that they're playing pressure defense.
With the opposite is forcing their opponent to stretch out in that shot clock,
right?
And you can see that on the possession time.
Yep, making it much more difficult for them to, get a good look. They're forcing teams to shoot earlier in the shot clock, the way they play. And if the opponent hits shots, which this is the home team, and the home team, they get a pretty decent offense. Their offense is above average, and they average 70 points a game. They both average 70 a game. Southern Miss gives up 76 a game. Just looking at Southern Miss's scoring, 70 to 76, it's 146. I mean, it doesn't come to 164. But again, I did make an adjustment on that. It's 159 on that game. So it's still an over, 16-point difference. It's just not as big of a difference,
right?
Because these two teams did play on Saturday, so I adjusted from Saturday's games. I did this at 3 a.m. in the morning, so there are a couple of adjustments to be made, but that's still a pretty big difference. I'll bet it over, but I'm only going to bet 1% on that over.
South Alabama favorite on the road, 12.5, 133.
I have 15.5, and would like to look and see if South Alabama is motivated, because we've done very well with these plays. With road teams that are, 15 to 20 points better, and you're laying around 10, I've always liked that mark too. I love, my favorite bets are those games where I make a team winning by 6 points or more, 2 possessions, and you're laying less than 3. So you only got to win by that 1 possession. But again, when you've got a team that you think should be 15 or 16 and you're laying 9.5, I always feel like that 10-point mark is the mark that you can accomplish, because coaches, let's say you're up 15 and the other team starts to make a little bit of a comeback, they call timeout right about that 10-point mark. They don't wait till it gets down to 6 or 4. They call timeout at that 10-point advantage. So let's look and see.
The good coaches, right?
What's that?
The good coaches.
Yeah. And I would say, most primarily do that. So South Alabama lost at Monroe last year and then won at home. So they split. There's no revenge factor there. There's nothing we can really take out of that. But I do know South Alabama is coming off a loss at Troy, and that was their second loss in conference. They're now 6-2. Louisiana Monroe, bottom of the barrel, 0-8. They're still trying to get a win in conference. So I'm not sure, though, the South Alabama, respect them enough to come play to, win that. Again, I'm not laying the points. I'll just pass.
Do you want to go through the extra games quickly?
Yeah.
Okay. Starting with the first one?
Yeah, but then Cookman, I have 4.5 and 136. I think it's right there.
It's 2.5, 130, 2.5.
Yeah, nothing. There's not a big enough difference. How about Grambling?
5.5, 149.
I have them 9.5 and 152.5. And let's see, that's a game that I'll probably play, but if we can get some revenge factor going, it just makes it that stronger of a play. It's a play now, and now you're going to give me some extra motivation. They have not played this year. And last year, they lost at home to Pine Bluff. That might have been the only meeting. Let's see. It is. That's the only meeting. So there is a revenge factor there for the road team. And we're the far better team in this game. I have them 8.5 points better, Grambling. So I make this game 12 now, and we're laying 6.
Okay, I like it. There's another added play for us. Boston 3, 130.5.
I have them 4 and 143.5.
Okay.
So my numbers say over, but when I look to the right of my page and I see all red, Holy Cross and Boston University both play slow. The reason why I'm over probably is the defenses. Both these defenses are very, very poor. Holy Cross is 11 and 8 over on the year, but Boston U has been an under team. They're 13 and 7 to the under. So I'm gonna pass here just because the tempo's not going to be there.
Yeah,
they're going to have to shoot well to get over, and they could because again the defenses aren't good, but the offenses aren't great.
Incarnate Word 4, 150.5.
I have them 4.5 and 151. It's right there.
Okay, 2.5 and 150. I can't see.
Grand Valley, Rio Grande Valley. I have a pick and 159.5. So I have an overplay. Both teams play up tempo. Both teams are pretty decent offensively, and they're both better offensively than they're in the defensive end, so I'll play this one over.
Okay, that's an over 150 in that one. We've got Jackson State 9, 143.
Made them 6.5 and 144.5, so close to being a play in the dog, Florida A&M. Let's look and see if Florida A&M has played Jackson State this year. They have not, this first meeting. They've won 3 in a row, Florida A&M. After losing their first 3 conference games, they've won the next 3, but they were against probably the 3 weakest teams in the conference. So they did what they had to do. Let's see what they did against Jackson State last year. They beat Jackson State at home and they lost away. No revenge. I'll keep it at that. I guess I have small lean to Florida A&M in this game.
All right, lean to the dog. 8.5. Well, that is what it opened up, and then some online ones. So, Lamar 4, 131.
I have them 5 and 122. So I do like it under. Both teams have trended under. Northwestern State 10 and 6 under. Lamar 9 and 7 under. Northwestern State plays extremely slow, and the home team, Lamar, plays solid defense. Both play good transition defense. They force their opponent later in the shot clock, so I'll go under there.
Under 131. We needed a under. It's been a lot of overs.
Yes, that's very true.
As of late. McNeese State 9, 144.
I made them 9.5 and 142.5. Nothing really there.
Southern 23 and 133.
22.5 and 132.5, so we can just pass that.
Okay, Southeastern Louisiana 5.5 and 140.
There's been money for Houston Christian. It opened 7.5 at Circa. I'm sorry, offshore. The only line that was up was a offshore. One of the bigger ones though. They opened 7.5. Now it's down to 5.5. I made it 4.5, so the money coming my way. My total 134.5. Both teams are in red for their pace, so they're both slow. Both teams are in red for their offenses. And Southeast Louisiana, good defensive team. So I've got a small underplay there. I will go under for 1%, under 140.
All right, Stephen A. Austin, 9.
I have them
128.5.
I have them 10 and 132, so we're right there in the total. I lean to the over, but when I look to the right of the sheet, 2 slow teams once again and 2 horrendous offenses. And what's very important is Stephen F. Austin's defense has been very good this year. They allow 63.8 points per game.
Wow.
They're in the top 100 defensively, so they do play good defense. So I would not bet that game over.
Alabama A&M 2, 151.
I have them 1 and 145.5. Little money for the over in that game. I see why they both like to run, and neither team plays defense. So
staying off of that
could
under.
Happen. Yeah, I don't have a bet there.
Alabama State 2.5 and 145.
2 and 144. But there were several good bets. I'm going to put a couple of those on my whiteboard.
And if anybody is new watching us here and he says looks over to his sheet, it means his power rating sheets, which you can purchase at KennyWhiteSports.com, but very nice color coordinated for overs and unders and trends and how they play.
Yeah, you can see all the ATS trends too for the teams too. I just color coordinate the totals because I like betting totals more, and I've had more differences in totals this year anyway than sides. My sides have been right on from the beginning of the year.
For college hoops?
College hoops, yeah.
Wow. That's good. That means that how you power rated the teams.
Yeah, from the beginning. It's been that way the entire year. Hasn't changed. My numbers have been right on. And it's nice when I do get some plays on these teams that are motivated to win from, last year, looking at the film. Hey, these guys beat us up pretty bad. We better come to play. And the other team's going, man, we beat the heck out of these guys last year. We're going to do it again. And it, just doesn't happen. So
college sports is the best sport to use situational spots like that and motivation and letdowns, look-aheads, all of that, right?
I think so, yeah, because they're young kids.
Yeah.
A lot of them are teenagers still, 18, 19 years old. And, 20, 21, it's not that much far off. You just became legal at 21. So, yeah, still, your brain's not fully developed till you're 25. So that's why you're getting a lot of, letdowns and look-aheads and things like that. They're,
And people always think they're not really thinking that going into the game, but even subconsciously you can. And if anybody's ever coached and worked with college athletes, you can tell when they're just a little bit more motivated and hyped for certain matchups. And
now there are coaches that do a great job of making sure players don't look ahead or let down.
Correct.
And you need to find those. I will say Coach K from Duke was one of the best. His teams played as hard against Army and Navy as they did against North Carolina, and it's hard to find that. Nick Bogdanovich, who's a Hall of Fame, he's a Hall of Famer for the sports betting business, and we've had discussions about this, Nick and I. Nick was an athlete. He played D2. He played at Lewis and Clark State basketball. He's a basketball player. We played Little League together. I played basketball against him. He's an outstanding basketball player. He knew the court well. He had great vision, and he was a really good college basketball player. So he played two sports, and we talk about this all the time about look-aheads and letdowns, and he doesn't believe in any of it. He says there's no such thing. These guys come to play every game. And I'm like, come on. And I'm sure he would always say, no, I don't think they come to play every game, but I don't think that's a factor. And I know it is because I've gone back and I've crunched the numbers on this revenge factor of teams that lost twice last year, teams that lost 3 times, and they cover 60% of the time. So it's a factor.
Right.
Yeah. There's something there. If it wasn't, if they covered 50% of the time, I go, Nick, you're right. There's nothing there.
Yeah.
You're right. The team that won all 3 games doesn't matter to them. They come to play even the next year, or even this year when I love the same year revenge is even better. It's a 65% cover. When a team loses at home the first time they play and then they play at the other team's place, it's just that psychological thing that you have going. You lost at home, you're pissed, you want to win and get that game back.
Yeah. And
the other team's thinking, we're better than them. If we beat them there, we're going to walk on the court and win this next game. So you just got to make sure your team's good. If you got a team like Southern and they're 0-12, and now they're playing a team they've lost to at home already, it may not be worth 2.5 for them. Not every case is the same. On average, it's worth 2.5. The better the team, the more it's worth.
Even UNLV this year, when they hosted Utah State after last year, because they lost to Utah State on their home court, and it was a crazy end of the game play where they got fouled. the Aggies did and got 5 points there at the end to beat them.
Yeah.
And then UNLV turned around and beat them this year. And Utah State's the better basketball team, right now.
Yeah,
but
they're the better team.
Really, and
they were focused.
They were focused, and there's a few players that were on that team last year, and I'm sure you remember. So
there's no doubt.
Well, let's look at hockey, and this is a very long season, so this is a little bit tougher to find the revenge and really utilize it, but I think we can find good spots here, and they are professional athletes, and hockey players play tough every night, right? And their coaches definitely have them ready for every single game. So
it's they do play hard. And it's one sport they don't play as many minutes as the other sports either. When you look at a hockey player, they play 20 minutes a night because their shifts aren't that long, but they're winded and they need to get off the ice and they can't go any longer. So, there's defensemen that will play close to 30 minutes a game, but when we're talking college basketball, NBA, NFL, those guys they're playing a lot more minutes. So maybe that is the reason why. I'm not sure. I don't know. Maybe the NBA should take a look at something like that instead of doing this load management and sitting guys out, maybe they play, 20 minutes, 25 minutes instead of playing 35 to 38 minutes. I don't know.
Yeah, I like that.
It's a thought.
Well, that would definitely help with the whole people are buying tickets to see a certain player and don't know and they're not going to be playing because they'd still play for at least a little bit.
It's the problem. It's also, everyone says it's the same product, that it's never changed. They play hard only the last 2-3 minutes of the game.
Right.
They go through the motions the first 45 minutes.
Right.
Okay, NHL. Kings at Detroit. South Point open $1.45. $1.40, I'm sorry. I'm looking at another book. $1.40, bet to 45. 5.5 under, 5.5 under 15. Small money to the over, small money on the Kings.
Kings are definitely the better team. We've got a minus 158, but the Red Wings have been playing really good. They're 6-3-1 in their last 10. No revenge. Kings won at home 4-1, so can't give them anything there. Total 5.5. I don't think there's a big enough difference to jump in on the Kings.
Yeah, no, your numbers are right there on that game. No, and there's no need to force a play. There's plenty of games on the board. There'll be plenty of games tomorrow. New Jersey, $1.45 down to $1.40. Total 6 under is down to 5.5 over.
Okay, we do have the total there at 6 under as well, where they opened it. Now, you can help me make this adjustment. I've got 154 on the Devils on the road, but it is Jake Allen, backup goalie for the Devils. How much do we want to do?
I factored that in for you already.
Oh, you did?
Yeah.
And we still have 154. It's still a big enough difference, especially. It's
well, at 14. New Jersey, you have 154.
Yep.
So you have a 14-cent difference. It's just there's not enough difference there to have you won't have a 25-cent edge.
What if I give you Devils revenge because they lost at home 3-1 January 18th, so it's fresh too. It's kind of when the Devils went through a little bit of a downslide.
Oh yeah,
there.
you want to add 25 cents to that, so you're at $1.83. You've got a 43-cent edge now.
I think
so. That's a good play.
It could make the board. Let's see what other hockey plays we have.
And New Jersey's good. They're good. They're a good hockey team.
Here we go. There's another revenge with the Canucks on the road.
So you got the better team with revenge. You know they're going to be focused going into this game. That's what you want when you know you're the better team. You want them to be focused. St. Louis opened $1.15. They've been bet up to $1.35. 5.5 unders, 5.5 under a quarter now.
5.5 under, minus 120. We've got minus 115 on the Blues here at home. Canucks did lose at home 4-3 on December 10th, so you could add in a little bit there.
25 cents. I would make Vancouver a dime. You can get plus 15. And if you shop around, you might get $1.20 on Vancouver.
2 really good goalies in this one, Demko. So right now, 3-5-2 is his record on the year, and his goals against isn't great, getting the save percentage up there too, 8.67. So a little bit of a ways to go. Jordan Binnington, 13-18-3, but 2.84 goals against average and an 8.98 save percentage. So he is technically the better goalie right now, mid-season form.
So you said Demko 3-5-2. So he's 10 games. He's 10 games away from being, really mid-season form for him. So he's still a little bit away from that. But that doesn't mean he can't win tonight.
Right.
I mean, the St. Louis is not a great team. I don't think St. Louis is a playoff team right now.
No, and they have lost 2 in a row. They're 24th in goals for, and they're tied for 17th in goals against. But, Vancouver's been very up and down this year as well. 23rd in goals for and 24th in goals against. So
a lot of that has to do with Thatcher Demko not playing at the beginning of the year. They may have a couple more wins if he had been. So.
Yes.
I think that it's worth a small bet, a 1% bet on Vancouver.
Should we go back to the Devils and the Flyers? Was that worth an over there? Because I did move past that quickly because I like the revenge.
You said you had 6 under?
Yeah, 6 under.
So, yeah, you do. You have a 3/10 of a point. Basically, you're 5.9 and the total's at 5.6. So you have, you're right there. If you want to bet it over, you're trusting your process and going with your numbers. It's how strongly you feel and how have you done with your totals lately?
Well, pretty good. Totals have been much better.
Okay, so then
they were really good and then had a few days. And, now I feel like they're getting back there. But, Urson has been a good goalie for the Flyers. 14-8-2, 2.8 goals against. But the Flyers are 28th in goals against at 3.36. That's just on the other side, the Devils are 5th in goals against. So even with the backup goalie, counting on their defenseman too, that might be the better play.
I think you have such a solid play on New Jersey with that revenge factor, the better team. You're not laying a drastic price at $1.40. Some people a lot of people that baseball bettors will say I don't bet favorites over $1.40.
Right.
I've heard that so many times. That's like the cutoff point. $1.40, that's it for me. But then, they'll lay $1.50 or $1.60, but mainly they'll say $1.40 is that cutoff point. All right, so small play. You got to play on the Devils. Small play on Vancouver. Edmonton opened 280, bet up to $3. The total was bet over, 6 over to 6.5.
And we have 6.5 here in this one between the Kraken and the Oilers. Edmonton minus 240 for us in this one. And Seattle's got the revenge because the Oilers won in Seattle 4-2 on January 4th. Is Seattle a good enough team that you want to bet on?
What'd you make again, 240?
240 with revenge.
So, with revenge, yes. You already factored it in. Well, you're only getting 250.
240. I didn't factor in the revenge.
Okay,
yet.
so you have a 215 then.
Yes.
So you have about a 35-cent difference. I would say, like I said for Southern earlier, just making an example. Southern could be 12-0. I don't even know. It's just bad team. If they're not playing well and they have revenge against everybody, it's really not worth it. How is Seattle playing?
Seattle on the road is 10-14. They're 5-5 in their last 10. But it's more about the Oilers. They're 7-3 in their last 10.
Yeah.
17-8-1 at home. And now they are 6 in goals for and goals against. And I feel like we're looking for teams like that for futures and who can make a good run, who are in the almost top 5 in both of those categories, right? And Edmonton's almost there.
Yeah, no, Edmonton's a solid team. The other factors I would look at is, does Edmonton play the Golden Knights their next game? Are they going to Vegas? Are they coming here?
Thank you. You did just remind me because we do have Calvin Pickard who is playing goalie, so no Skinner.
So they must have played last night then.
They didn't play last night, but I think they might be the first of a back-to-back. No. They played on the 25th, hosted Buffalo. Wow, they have a lot of home games in a row here. And then they don't play till the 30th against the Red Wings.
Oh, so there's no look ahead, no letdown factor.
No, they're just...
And your number already, I've already made the adjustment with Pickard in goal. You would have made it a lot higher than that. So,
okay.
Again, this is probably one of those plays that you would play pizza money on.
Or
basically.
What about, or take the 1-1.5
and
with
you
the
could
Kraken.
You could look at taking the 1.5 because you're gonna get a price. So
minus 110.
Yeah, minus 110 here at the South Point. So I don't know. I think it's just more probably worth it just to bet pizza money on the plus 250.
Take a little bit of crack in there.
If you win, you get 2.5 more pizzas. Final game, Pittsburgh and San Jose. Pittsburgh, $1.65. They're right now $1.60 here at the South Point. 6.5 under is 6.5 flat.
All right, we've got minus 136 on Pittsburgh, but I don't really want to bet on either of these teams right now. The Penguins are 3-6-1 in their last 10, and San Jose is 1-9.
They trade their goalie yet? Pittsburgh.
I don't think so.
Jarry, right?
Tristan Jarry.
He's not. They didn't trade him.
Not that I've heard.
Maybe the Blackhawks will get him.
Anything with the total 6.5. Nothing with the total either.
No, right there.
Yeah.
All right. So best play, the Devils.
Devils minus 140.
Yeah, we got to put some plays on our whiteboard. Unless you're going to stay. You want to stay another half hour?
No, we can put our whiteboard plays. I'm already done with mine. Wow. And I am jumping in on one of your favorites in college basketball with Grambling because. So sorry if I already am taking yours. But I like that. And last week, I believe it was Wednesday, we both had a favorite that cashed. So I think those are really good numbers for you. And I don't know if there was some couple of really good plays. I better look at my sheet. And I will.
There was a couple of totals too that I know I liked.
Back to back, you liked Iowa State and Arizona over, and then you liked the game right after that over. But I didn't grab that one.
There was a total, an underplay that I saw that I liked. And it was on the off-board games. Lamar under 131.
I wrote it down for you. Yes. I'm going to take it off of mine then.
You can have it. That's part of handicapping. People who are listening to the show, they're going to bet them too. I mean, if we all come up with the same assumption, then hopefully we're going to win 60% of the time.
Yeah.
On those bets. What is Grambling? -5?
I believe it's -5.5. Maybe Ryan, if he sees it. Oh, it's -5.5 here.
Troy over 143. I'll put that one on there.
Yes, that's the one that was right after Iowa State and Arizona.
And they're -5.5. So I have 4 plays.
Very good.
And then there will be a dog of the day.
Vancouver and Seattle.
On Punchlines.
At noon, which right. Jeff Parles will be in studio with Frank Nicotero, so make sure you guys join them at noon.
UCLA at pick. Troy over 143. Grambling -5.5. And Lamar under 131.5. I love the graphics, the whiteboard. Graphics. So 4 plays. UCLA, Troy over, Grambling -5.5, Lamar under 131, and then don't forget the dog of the day on Punchlines at 12:50.
12:50, yes, but the show starts at 12, so make sure you are there for that. So on Thursday, when I switched my days, I was on Thursday 3-0-1. I had a push with the Knights total. Yesterday 3-1. So it's trying to keep this going. Iowa State, Arizona over 142. Grambling -5.5. The Devils -140. And then Pizza Money. I do like these 2 dogs here, the Canucks and the Kraken. So there's my whiteboard place.
There you go.
And that's it for us for today. Tomorrow, we will look at some college basketball futures because we have been teasing this. And it's just kind of got pushed to the side because of these big football games. But tomorrow we will do that for sure. Thank you, everybody who joined us today. If you're watching later, we appreciate you as well. Some more people jumped in at the chat. I will check in on Vince's sheets here. But yeah, it looks like we got everybody. So thank you. Please subscribe to the YouTube channel. Tell some friends and share it. For Kenny White, I'm Alex White. Everybody in the back, Andrew, Ryan, and Vince, we appreciate all that you do. We'll see you all tomorrow here on Sports by the Book.